Well, I'm certainly going to write a fifth book at some point. I have written so far 2 books on the INFJ personality and 2 books that are novels. One is more technically a short novel or novella, The Interview, and my book, The Infinite Castle, is a proper novel. Those books sell modestly, but they do sell a bit. The ones that are doing better and that are helping me really also financially, if I'm honest, are the Ecstatic Soul. This one came out 2021. If you haven't got it, you can still get it. A new look at the INFJ personality, the deepest investigation of the INFJ mind. Could we argue that that's the case? There's a train passing by, but it's already gone, so that's good. And its sequel just came out, fresh out of the oven, The Infinite Soul, on INFJ life in the modern world. So given the mind we have, how can we find meaning, value, and purpose in this world is often so hostile? Get the links, at the links below, you can find them. And this one needs reviews as well, so if you love the book, please consider reviewing it on Amazon. Really helps me with the referencing. What is the next book going to be about? Of course, there are constraints. There are constraints, both internal and external. And I would say that currently the external constraints are more important than the internal constraints. So what I mean by this is that the internal constraint really is principally inspiration. Do I feel inspired to write something new? What about? Do I have my creative juices kind of pumping? And I want to say yes. The Infinite Soul is actually out a few months, really. It's not been out for that long, and I wrote it sort of beginning of this year. But I still I'm already feeling the urge to write something new. And sometimes what happens, and maybe this has happened to you guys before as well, is that you really, really kind of are burning with the desire to write something new, but you don't really know what. And so even that, I think I've solved. I know that what I'm going to write about, it's just that the external constraints are more important, to keep things going at the moment. I'm kind of, I'm juggling the job, the YouTube work, and I'm actually considering doing starting a course in psychotherapy with eventually a Jungian focus. So that's exciting. Certainly will be more exciting to work as a Jungian psychotherapist than the job I currently have. Even though the job I currently have gives me freedom to release videos, but it doesn't pay very much. And so it's complicated. And there's also recently moved back to France, my wife joining me. So there's lots externally going on that is kind of delaying the process. Don't have time, don't have temporal bandwidth to start on this new book. But when I do get the chance, I don't know when it will be the case, but I think I'll just leap on the opportunity as soon as, and the book is probably going to be, it's not going to be on the INFJ, but I want to write a book on, it's an ambitious goal, but I want to write a book on introverted intuition. Literally, I want to write a book purely dedicated to introverted intuition. So technically, it will be interesting to every person of every type, because introverted intuition is an interesting function. People do find it really fascinating and they want to know more about it. It will be super relevant to INFJs and INTJs, but also ENFJs and the NTJs. It will also be relevant to, there's another train that's passing by, so hopefully not too long. Yeah. It will also be relevant to ISTPs, because ISTPs sometimes relate to having quite good and developed NI in combination with their TI. So it's going to be interesting. And the idea that you could write a whole book on a single function is really not something that scares me. It's not something that intimidates me. I think that if anything, it'd be hard to write a concise book on that function, and it would be an interesting challenge to succeed in that, to actually write a concise book on that function, because there's so much to say. I want to approach NI historically. I want to approach it psychologically. I want to approach it from a literary point of view. I want to approach it from the point of view of particularly INFJs and INTJs, see the differences. I want to approach it from a Jungian point of view, engage with the works of Jung on introverted intuition. I want to look at NI in relation to external reality, in relation to the outside world, so kind of following the trend of the Infinite Soul. I want to have a chapter. This is something that I really insist on, at least in my own mind, I want to have a chapter where I kind of do a read book kind of approach, where like I allow, in this case, my NI to express itself as freely as possible. So like, you know, half Jung, half Nietzsche, Zarathustra, something like that. Because I really want to do that. I have a craving to do that. I couldn't have an entire book to kind of to sell you that is just that. I think that would be kind of tricky and a bit inaccessible. But if it was in the context of these other chapters that provide context, introductions, and situates this, I think that could be super interesting as an experiment. And of course, it wouldn't be like some random scribbling. But you know, it's something that I want to do as well. You know, so if you just think of all the various kind of angles I've shared with you, if you think of them as chapters, I mean, that's already what, like 6, 7, 8 chapters. It can be kind of wordy enough. At least I can go in depth. So yeah, like it's gonna be a proper book. And I already have ideas. I already have a good notions of what I like to discuss. So yeah, it's probably going to be a book on introverted intuition. And I guess before I finish the video, this is a good opportunity as well to probe you, to consult you, and ask you, would that in fact, because I believe this would be of interest to you and to other people who are not INFJs. But what do you think? First things first, you know, if you've read my books before, maybe you haven't, but you're considering it. If I write a book on introverted intuition, and I promise you it's good, would you consider like getting it? You know, like, is that something that would generate interest? I mean, inevitably I must ask you that question, because I don't really want to write something that my audience is not that interested in. Like, you know, in the past, like before a YouTube channel, I was less concerned about these things. It's so much more fruitful, so much more community productive, if you like, to sort of write a book that my audience would be interested in. I'm super interested in. I think introverted intuition is the answer. But let me know, okay? And so yeah, the books that I've mentioned, you know, you can get them. I already showed you my 2 books on the INFJ, so the links are below. You know, I have a Patreon page where the generous support of my current patrons is helping me, not heaping me, but helping me to keep the channel going. I think I did like a Jungian condensation, psychoanalytic term, condensating, helping, and keeping. But anyway, yeah, like it really, really helps me. And anywhere from $3.5 a month, I think you can help me and provide support if you want to support my work. And inside Patreon, you can interact with me, access some bonus content. I do some Jung readings and share paragraphs. So if you're interested, join. The link is below as well. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time.